I believe that no room is truly complete without a conversation starter. Conversation starters can really be anything, something as simple as a guitar, maybe a strange painting on the wall, strange creatures on the big ass Mario pipe that your room has for some reason. Now I know what you're probably thinking. Oh, this guy's gonna tell us all about his closet full of interesting treasures like Five Nights at Freddy's polo, framed Fortnite gift card, and Yowie. But no, we're actually going to be talking about this guy right here. Now, the thing about the Brat Shrine is I have a complicated relationship with the album that it's on, Brat. However, the more time that I spent with this album, it really taught me something about myself and how I tend to act with things that are typically unfamiliar. So I think it's an interesting enough story to talk about for a little bit, right? It also looks really awesome. Isn't that right? So before the shrine, back in June of 2024, I was chilling in a hotel room. I was on a trip at the time in San Diego, and I had seen a lot of buzz about Brat on Twitter. A lot of pop music accounts were talking about it and giving news on it, so I assumed it was a pop album. And at the time, I had really wanted to try getting into pop music. Attempts included listening to the entirety of the Tortured Poets Department front to back, and it gave me a migraine and was also incredibly boring. But I was willing to give Brat a chance, mostly because it looks really stupid. Low-res, basic font on the most obnoxious green you've seen in your life. It is textbook stupid looking. And all the time I'm seeing promotion of it isn't actually out yet. So on that night, I was gonna go check when it was coming out, I had no idea when it was going to come out, and I had no idea that as soon as it had turned 1, the album was out. It had just come out. I was one of the first people to actually experience this album, or at least I had the opportunity to, because I didn't even get through 2 songs. Now, I'm not typically opposed to electronic music. I had been expecting pop, and that was a little bit of a pleasant surprise when it ended up being club music instead. As much as I thought the first one is it's kind of fun. Club Classics, the second song on the album, I just couldn't get through. It was just, I did not like it at all. And I still don't really like it to this day. So that was where I thought my journey ended with Brat, just assuming that it was not for me. So flash forward a couple months to August. I had just moved into this house with a couple friends, and one of them has recommended that we go over to the Record Exchange, which is a pretty cool store. They sell all sorts of vinyls and CDs and even some cassettes. And as we look around, my bit is just to point at anything even vaguely Brat colored and ask, oh my gosh, look, it's Brat. Very funny bit. And I'm going through all the classics like Green Weezer. That's the only one I can come up with off the top of my head. And as I walk over to the cassette section, I see something that's Brat colored. And I do my classic bit, oh my gosh, look, it's Brat, assuming that there is no chance in hell it was actually gonna be Brat. I mean, why would they put club music on a cassette? Lo and behold, as I pull it off the shelf, I realize, wait, it actually is Brat. So after pulling it off the shelf and being dumbfounded that it actually was what I was joking about it being, and seeing that the price tag was only $15, I was like, you know what? I think I need it. And thus, I go walk over to the cash register. The lady at the register is putting in the bag when she asks me, do you want a poster? We've got a bunch left over from our album listening event, so I'll just give it to you for free if you want. And obviously, I say yes, because what's funnier than having a Brat cassette? Having it framed on your wall. After having both of these things, I decide, you know what? Now that I have the poster and I have the cassette, I kind of want to start collecting this. I hadn't listened to the album in full at this point. I was just thinking, wow, this is a funny thing to collect. And so I set up this little side table. And fun fact, I'd originally tried putting this up on the wall with like poster, like blue tack. And what I wasn't prepared for is that stuff is meant for posters on their own, not framed ones, which are much heavier. So a couple times it had fallen off the wall and onto the floor. And unfortunately, that meant the cassette got cracked, which was a bummer. The cassette inside this didn't get damaged. It was just the shell of it. Fortunately, I got wall tape to actually put it up on the wall, and that's been great. And believe it or not, the Brat Shrine didn't actually immediately progress. They had ran out of Brat at the record store. It was completely out of stock. And I found the second item of the Brat Shrine at a Barnes & Noble. Yes, you heard me right, Barnes & Noble. They have like that little CD section at the back. And I found on sale the Brat CD for a grand total of $13. That was a pretty good deal. I mean, typically they're only like 15, but saving a couple bucks on a brand new album, I'll take it. And for a while there, that was it. Just the CD, the poster, and the cassette. And I'm not entirely sure when I ended up doing this, but I finally ended up getting the vinyl. This thing was beautiful. I honestly assumed that this was going to be the last piece of the Brat Shrine because, you know, what else is there to get? You can even see her on the back. Little Charlie XCX for you. And this was when they had finally had Brat back in stock. That wasn't a dupe like the CD. And there I was thinking it was it, you know? I had finally done it. I'd finished my collection. But obviously that isn't where it ended because the remix album came out. And the remix album was actually really good. So I was like, you know what? I want to go pick it up. And I actually also found in the same section the deluxe version of the album. And I decided, you know what? I'm picking up the other one anyway. I might as well have both. And this is like the 3 major variations of the album. And honestly, out of all of these CDs, if you wanted to own Brat physically on a CD, I would certainly recommend the remix album, because believe it or not, as well as having the entirety of the remix album on it, it also has the entirety of Brat, like the regular one, and the bonus tracks. This one's just the deluxe. And as fun as this one is, as much as it breaks up the Brat Shrine a little bit because it is not obnoxiously green, but it is white, I just don't think I'd recommend anyone buy this one unless they're specifically looking to collect them. And believe it or not, there is actually one more CD. This one I imported because you cannot buy this in the States. I'm pretty sure they're done. I think it was like a limited promotion. Besides buying it from scalpers, I assume there's no way to get your hands on this CD anymore. And of course, I'm talking about Brat Japan Edition. This one I actually haven't taken the plastic wrapping off yet because it has this like cool little like bumper, and I thought it was too cool to take off. Now, the really fun part about this version is that it is just the original album. I believe there isn't the bonus tracks on here, but this also has, as a bonus track, thrown in Talk Talk feat. Troye Sivan, which is in contentions to be my favorite song on the entirety of the remix album, almost even just Brat in general. And also, it just looks really funny. I just had to have it. And that's it musically for the Brat Shrine. I don't think I'm going to be trying to collect the other versions of the vinyl. I decided for all of the different variations, I was just going to go with the CD because they're much cheaper. They're like half the price, even lower sometimes. However, out of all of the vinyls, there's a special edition of the remix album where it has white powder in it. If you know, you know. And I would love to have that one. It even looks different. And I doubt they made even a deluxe or a remix album version of the cassette, you know. I think that was just a bit... I think they were just like, wouldn't it be funny if we put this on cassette? And it was. To be honest, I haven't really been telling the full story. Back after I got the cassette, on the same day I decided I wanted to give Brat another try and actually listen through the whole thing without skipping at all. And at the end of it, I still wasn't like super impressed. It wasn't like my favorite thing in the whole world, but I kind of liked it. And so I decided to listen to it again. And, you know, I liked it a little more and I listened to it again and again. And then I kind of stopped. But then one fateful day I was playing Cyberpunk and I was like, you know what? This music on the radio, it's good and all, but I kind of want to listen to something else. So I put on Brat, and that was genuinely when my brain kind of clicked on the album. And after it clicked, it really clicked. You know, I had some of my songs that I kind of liked after I listened to it the second time. Notably, Von Dutch, very good. Everything is romantic, classic. And then 365, I really liked how not only was it good, but it also took like the melody and a lot of elements from 360, which is the opening track of this song, which I love just when it calls back and it just makes it better. It's more climactic. I think it's just such a beautiful, perfect ending for the album. And then as I listened to it more, I kind of started like understanding what this was actually about, because Brat, believe it or not, is not all club music. It's mostly club music, don't get me wrong, but there's a couple songs in between that are really somber. I might say Something Stupid. I Think About It All the Time. Like, these are songs where she's actively like being vulnerable. That was not something I was at all expecting. A lot of this album goes between thinking about herself, you know, her place in the world, about how much she's been focusing on her career and if it's really being fulfilling for her. And then in I Think About It All the Time, she starts contemplating whether just settling down and starting a family would be better for her than keeping up with the career that she's on. And then it comes off of those really introspective, emotional ones with her trying to drown it out by going to the club. You know, she doesn't really want to confront these things. She just wants to live like her life is a party. It was just, I think as soon as I really understood that, that's when it passed over from like, oh, this is pretty good, to being like, wow, this is actually one of my favorite albums of all time. If you'd told me that Brat would be one of my favorite albums after I had failed to listen to it for the first time at 1 a.m., I would have said, you're smoking crack. The thing it really taught me, though, about trying things and about myself was that typically I don't really like something if it's not familiar to me. You know, sometimes things that aren't familiar with me, it'll be like, wow, that's kind of interesting, you know, but it really takes me going through and like really listening to stuff in the genre, eating like ways that it's prepared differently. It takes me getting a little familiar for the really good aspects of things to really start popping out at me. It really changed how I see a lot of things. If there's something I've tried before and I didn't really like, maybe it's worth giving another shot and another shot. If my enjoyment of it is going down, then that's probably a sign that I don't really like it. But maybe, just maybe, I'll find something that truly is special to me. Now, there's a couple other aspects of the Brat Shrine I want to go over. I got this candle for Christmas from my sister. It's matcha scented, so no, sorry, it is not whatever a Brat smells like. Probably sweat and cocaine. And I've got a few Brat things that actually aren't in the shrine. I just don't really know where to put them. These are also from my sister, by the way. Got me this baby thing. I don't know. It has a name. It's like part of like a brand. And then got a Brat on board. I was tempted to put this on my guitar amp, but I kind of like how clean it is without anything on it. So I'm kind of going back and forth on where I want to put this. And the final thing, I think this one is a little bit of the Brat shrine that I carry with me everywhere. On my bag that I bring to every class, most of the time I tend to switch between bags. My brain, my voice, it's going on me. It's got a little Brat pin on it. I got this also as a gift. That's about it. Thanks for watching. If you take anything away from this video, it's not that you should listen to Brat specifically, but it's more just, give things another shot. Maybe you need to give them a couple more shots until you realize, no, this is actually not good. I still don't like this. But if your main takeaway was, wow, Brat sounds a little interesting, maybe I'll give it a try. That's great. It's a good album. If you've genuinely never listened to it, a lot of people love it. Anthony Fantano gave it a 10. I don't listen to his reviews most of the time. He gave my favorite album of all time a 4. Anyways, I'm going to go edit this because I'm recording this the night before it's due. Wait, that was record. I've been recording on my computer this whole time. No, oh no, no.